The Alliance of Lordaeron was a political entity vying for control over Azeroth during the Second War. It was the precursor to the current Grand Alliance we see inhabiting the Eastern Kingdoms today. Its ranks were filled with the combined armies of the 7 human kingdoms, the dwarves and gnomes of Khazad-dûm, and the high elves of quel'thalas. Its main goal was to push back the Orcish horde and recapture the fallen Stormwind. While the Alliance did find victory in the Second War, it wasn't without its failures. For something that built the current Alliance today, the Alliance of Lordaeron had far too many internal issues that still linger even today. So today, we're going to discuss the failures of the Alliance of Lordaeron. To start, the faction had a very bumpy beginning. The 7 kingdoms all convened at the behest of King Tyrannus II of Lordaeron to discuss the matter of Stormwind's fall, where he attempted to persuade all the human leaders of all the 7 kingdoms into joining a united faction to halt the rampaging orcs and retake Stormwind. Most agreed, but Alterac and Gilneas refused. They believed that their own kingdom's regional power would be weakened by a united faction, thus settling in the issue. Not all in the Alliance would care about each other, and instead would care more about personal gain. While Alterac and Gilneas did eventually join the Alliance thanks to Turellian, they had already shown their true colors. They only cared about unity because of its necessity, and when that necessity is jeopardized, they betrayed their allies, much like what occurred with Alterac. This same idea was adopted by the elves when they joined the humans, and was further pressed when the elven troops sent to aid the 7 kingdoms were basically like a handful of rangers. Those in the Alliance of Lordaeron were loosely tied together against a single enemy. They got along because they needed to. There was no real trust, and that's where the real problem lies. The Alliance of Lordaeron was a loosely tied together military entity, much like how the Horde is and was. Without war and a common foe, it cannot be maintained simply because its member nations wouldn't want it to. When it comes down to it, no one nation, possibly maybe besides Stormwind and Lordaeron, really had a strong care for the Alliance to be maintained after the Horde was gone. This showed with heating tension between human and elf, as well as the matter of orcish prisoners. With no common enemies, slowly but surely the Alliance of Lordaeron lost members. The internal politics of the Alliance was its downfall, not some enemy. Political squabbles, selfish gains, and distrust within the faction allowed to its dismantlement. quel'thalas was a cold ally after the war. The elves had no real trust for the humans, and the humans had no real trust for the elves. Gilneas left due to not wishing to rebuild and empower other kingdoms and not wanting to spend coin on keeping the orcs simply locked up. They would rather see them all killed. Stromgarde shared the same mindset of Gilneas when it came to the orcs, but ultimately left over the refusal of King Daenerys to gift the nation the southern part of Alterac for its betrayal and fall in the war. As for the others, Dalaran was far too secretive and secluded from politics after the war. Kulturas, Lordaeron, and Stormwind remained loyal, but Stormwind was far too preoccupied with rebuilding itself to side of only one political group or another. By the time a new enemy took hold in the lands of Lordaeron, the Alliance had all been basically shattered, and most of its member nations are gone. Had isolated themselves from the others, or were far too busy to see it maintained. Perhaps together, if they could have all gotten past their squabbles and dislikes, the Alliance of Lordaeron could have stopped the Scourge and prevented the fall of Lordaeron and destruction of the Sunwell. Perhaps together, Azeroth would be a much better and a much safer place. In the end, the Alliance's disbandment did more damage to the Eastern Kingdoms and to the world than it did good. Thanks for watching.